Well, as you've heard, my name is Terry Weaver, and you're listening to another episode of the Making Elephants Fly podcast. Today is a podcast by request, not by any of you. Well, maybe by some of you. You probably wanted more. Many of you listened to the episode that Leslie and I did when we talked about my recovery and my time in the hospital. And she said, hey, I want to come back and do something. And I thought we were going to do something kind of deep dive about the Olympics, and we were watching the Olympics.
We talked about it.
We may still do it because what we've learned is still. I've actually been taking a long rabbit hole look into sports psychology because it affects a lot about how the mind works and how our mindset works. But today, Leslie asked me. We were on the way to do a early morning. I had an appearance in a studio in Nashville. Early. And she had an early morning idea because we were both up, and it was a weekend, and we were both had clothes that you'd wear in front of humans, something we normally don't do on a Saturday. And so we decided
were presentable for public.
We were presentable for public. So we decided.
We showered.
Leslie suggested, "Hey, let's have a conversation about the thing we've been doing the thing now for 10 years. I want to share kind of what I've learned and." Which is what I thought we were going to do. But she's like, I want to ask you some questions too. So I have no idea where this is going to go.
That's right.
I have no idea what we're going to talk about. We're just going to record it. And we do these things a lot of times when we just have conversations. And so here we go.
Join us in the conversation.
Yeah, get it started.
All right. So you mentioned you've been doing the thing for 10 years. What does that mean? Like, what was your vision for the thing, and what have you accomplished in that time? Tell us more. Why do we have the thing?
What have we accomplished? That's an interesting question from that perspective. You know, I guess we've accomplished in the end what we set out to do, and that was to help and serve people.
Absolutely.
As you probably are more aware of than anybody else, it hasn't always been the best business venture. It's something we've done out of passion and out of need. And when we first got started doing this, I was coming off of helping somebody else produce an event. I was coming off a business partnership and decided, hey, I learned a lot. I have consistently been in rooms and seen how powerful rooms are and being in the right room with the right people. And so I was, at the time, leading mastermind groups for the first time kind of back in, I guess, 2015.
You were kind of facilitating it for somebody else. You were curating.
Well, in 2015, I was doing my own. Okay. I started to do my own in 2015. And I spent most of that year not being able to shake the need for a live event. And so we actually came into the beginning of the year, went and thought, maybe we need a business partner to do this. We were wrong on that one.
But we learned from it.
We learned from it and we
persevered.
We persevered. And I guess that's kind of been maybe the biggest thing we've learned is perseverance.
Absolutely.
And, as I talk a lot about Eugene Peterson and along obedience in the same direction, that now granted that direction always shifts. Who we set out to help in the beginning might have been someone that would call themselves a dreamer, someone probably aspiring. And obviously how we have grown up and glowed up, so have our ability to help people at a higher level. Which also sometimes means our ability to serve people who aren't quite ready to take it seriously diminishes too. And that's been that's been hard. Because we love people, we love serving people. We love help.
You can't help everyone.
But we can't help everybody. And, I've shared, I think on this podcast, I know I've shared a lot in my community that, actually I shared it at a talk last year that I heard in a podcast that Erwin McManus shared on a podcast that, the Coast Guard is trained to rescue people swimming towards them. And that was a mental shift for me. Because I'm a natural, fixer, rescuer. You and I both have that, I do it in your work, you'll have a problem, we'll sit down, you do it for me. where we'll sit down and like, okay, now how do we fix this? How do we right this ship? Um, but that doesn't always work with people as well either. You know, it doesn't. It doesn't always. The results aren't the same when it's a human because they have to have buy-in. Obviously, showing up in person at an event is a huge buy-in. You know, there's the investment of the ticket, the time, the travel, and then just the relationship capital to be in the room and to be fully present.
So you've done over the years. We've done Orlando 10 times now.
Yep.
Or this will be our 10th time.
This will be our 10th time
this year. You've done California out on the West Coast. You did several events out there, and we've done Nashville. This year will be our 5th year doing Nashville.
6th this year, but our 6th.
Our 6th year. Yeah, we've done 5 events. You're right.
So
year 6
with some of the one-day events that we're planning this year, we will probably approach 20 something thing of it because we've done some meetups and some last year in Orlando.
Jamaica.
We've done some kind of things outside of kind of with the Think community.
With amazing people.
The Think community has kind of bled into other, you know, and that's sort of one of the interesting things that I wasn't quite sure what it was going to look like because we branded it the Thing. It's not Terry Weaver's event, although it's Terry Weaver's event. I've had to own that.
Last year, I think you learned it's not your event.
Well, right, but I've had to own the fact that
you're the voice shaping it and behind
as the leader behind it.
That's fair.
There is responsibility for what happens, and some of what that responsibility sometimes is to say, I can't do this alone. Sometimes the best thing you can do as a leader is to say, this isn't something, I need someone else to help with this, or I need somebody else to step up and take ownership in this with me. Not like from a business perspective, but in like a belief and a leaning in, you know. And as far as accomplishments, that's kind of the question I haven't answered. Is I think the accomplishments, and it goes back to last year, the accomplishments are what's happened for people. There truly have been people that have had their lives and business changed because of this community. Some of them have been financial. Some of them have had people that have driven across the country for them. Some of them have had people that have flown to another country because of them. Some of them have been showing up in hospital rooms. Some of it is helping people grow and scale something. Some of it is supporting something else that somebody else is trying to launch and build and scale. It's looked all kinds of different ways. And I think that's one of the things that even though you have a clear vision as a leader, you sort of have to hold loosely to what it becomes. It's very much like when you write a song.
Well, your community kind of shapes it.
Right? When you write a song, the moment that like you ship it or you write a book, it becomes what it means to the person who's consuming it and how they're experiencing it. And so, you know, has there been transformation? Absolutely. Have there been amazing relationships built?
Confirmed.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, and you know, for me, I've grown. I've learned personally the ability just to not quit at something. Because I'm kind of like, I love starting things. I normally get bored when that's my kind of wiring, my neurodivergence, my ADHD, like. And so for me to stay at something for a long time, and there's also sort of a like stubbornness about that, and this may be a little spiritual, but there has never been a question that we were going to get to this year. Even lying in the hospital, I said, well, I know we're supposed to do this. And, you know, I mean, obviously, we want some growth to happen. We want financial success to increase. It's very difficult to do events in this climate right now, but it's also really awesome because I'm finding that the people who their ears are getting perked by this year, they aren't people who are tire kickers. They are people who are ready to ensure they win.
So if I were to ask you, tell me about the Thing, what would you say? If I was somebody off the street, or a couple weeks ago, we were at an event and I was telling people about the Thing. So what would you say the Thing is? And then I'm going to share what I would say.
Well, I tend to answer that question differently based on once I know who that person is. I mean, I think that's one of the things that you learn with your stories and with your sales tactics and anything really is you want to talk to that person's needs. So I try to listen to what they are, and if somebody listen, and if somebody isn't a fit for the thing, I'm going to flat out tell them because I don't
You will.
I don't want them wasting their money and wasting the people in the room's time for them to show up and it to be
Or bringing anybody down.
yeah, oh yeah, and if yeah, I don't I,
Who
I
you
can,
surround yourself with does matter.
yeah.
So for me, because I've been
I haven't answered the question, but I actually want to hear your answer.
okay, I'll let you hear my answer. So I've been to the thing most of the 10 years. I haven't been to every single event because some of those happened in my busy season.
The only ones you really missed are the two
the
in
West
LA.
Coast because I had family dealing with some health stuff, some parents, and then that's my busiest season is during budget season. So, but I've been at most, I would say the majority. Very rarely have I missed 90% of the events I've been at. And so what I think the thing is it's an event that's curated to build community for people in different seasons of life. And I would say everything from a solopreneur, entrepreneur, business owner, leader, manager, whatever your role is, there's something for you there if you're willing to step up and learn and you have that learning mentality. You can learn from every single person in that room if you have the right attitude. It's really about building relationships in that room and taking them beyond that room is what I would say.
Yeah, it's a good answer. And when you say curated, I am curating.
You're intentional.
I'm intentional for the people in the room, but I learned really quickly that I can survey people, I can ask everyone what they want to learn, but at the end of the day, I have to ask myself, what do I want to learn? How do I want to continue to grow? Because I know what I want and need. And I can't always figure I can't figure out what you want and need always. Yeah. And so I know that if the first bar I normally try to hit is myself. The second bar I normally try to hit is our speakers. And not that I'm not thinking about the attendees, but I know that if I can make the event valuable for the speakers, if the speakers who are coming to speak and giving up their time and their schedule are willing to lean in, and the majority of our speakers do stay the entire time. Now we have some people that have to come and go because of a schedule, or they're a surprise guest. Like I normally try to get some live podcast interviews, and a lot of times those people will come in and they'll, sure. They try to stay the day or around their session. But for me, what I would say to somebody, what the thing is the vision began around this idea that everyone I meet has a big idea of something they're working on, a business they're trying to start. And as we enter, as the future of work and the future of how we function in society continues to shift and change, the term job security, I don't know that there's anyone that has a secure job in 2026. And the best way to have a secure job is to be in the most control of it. And that is the beauty of entrepreneurship, is you do have, it's your fault. And so I wanted to create a space for those people to be able to learn, I would say inspired, enabled, and equipped are the kind of the three words that I always come back to, that they're inspired to act, they're given the, they're given the tools, and then they're enabled. They're given relationships and tools and tactics. That it's not just a bunch of fluff and motivational speakers. Now, granted, I kind of ask for all the speakers that they do a combination of those things. If they have to err on something, it's got to be practical. It has to be something that you can take away from the event and go, man, I can use this. I remember one of the very first events I went to was a one-day seminar, and one of the promises that they made is you can use this week in your program. And you literally left with something you could use.
It was practical.
It was practical. And so I want things to feel that practical. Now, granted, I've also had to learn the hard way that I don't have control out of like what I give to, like, I can give two people. I mean, I've I've learned that. I've watched people walk out of the room and fall apart. Right, their life falls apart, their relationships falls apart, and a lot of times that's because they're fleeing community, they're fleeing accountability, they're not willing to invest further into getting help. And then I've watched people go home and take massive action and call
Drive.
and have a drive and call back the next day and go, okay, you know what next? And so I've learned I can't control the outcome that comes out of it anymore, but I can control knowing that I've packed the event full of opportunities for you to learn, and that I've created margin in the blank spaces of the event, and on the quiet spaces and the in between times for you to build relationships. And I do believe that the relationships that you gain out of being, I remember one of the most impactful things someone ever told me about the thing was what I love the most about the thing. It was the space where people doing what seemed impossible was normal. That everyone in the room was action taking, and that it because a lot of times when you do this the work that a lot of us do, you feel weird, and yes, we're weird. True story. Your weirdness is what unlocks your ability to win. I think the weirdos are going to be the winners in all of this.
Well, and I would say one of the things that I think is also unique is the opportunities that people get within the community. So, how many people were attendees and now they're part of the stage, or the people speaking into the lives of other people? How they've grown and evolved over time. A lot of people that are part of your mastermind, they've just been given opportunity. They've grown into that opportunity. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, and you're seeing, I think you and I were talking about this earlier today, that you know the ripple effects that happen because people were in the room, of being on other people's podcasts, and several people have gotten other speakers at the event to write the foreword to their book, or they've gotten they've learned how to do something at the event, and then they've continued their learning. It sparked something, and I think if anything, the thing is kind of like what I hope the thing is a, there was a phrase that was used during 2020 about super spreaders, and a lot of people called us out because we still did our event in 2020 differently. Honestly, it was still one of the best events.
Like everybody talks about
everybody still
how we
talks
accomplished
about
that event.
Everybody still talks
unique.
about that event, and we were able to do some things just because we got some things at an incredible discount because.
And we did it safely, the safest we could.
We did it the safest way we could. We learned about HEPA filters, and
got one in our house now.
Yeah, we had more hand sanitizer and Clorox wipes than we did everything we could. But what I hope the event is, at the end of the day, it's a super spreader for people's ideas, and I think leadership and entrepreneurship a lot of times feels hopeless. And I feel like out of our event, people typically leave with hope, and they leave knowing that it's possible. They've literally seen someone on stage that's actually done it and currently doing it. The speakers aren't people who did it one time a long time ago. They're in the process of doing it, and they're also accessible the whole weekend and beyond the event. But the whole weekend they're there. They answering.
Lean into learning. That's one thing I love about the speakers is they lean into learning. They come to the event to learn just as much as to give back and to glean wisdom in the people in the room. And they're accessible. You have dinner with them. You sit next to them. You can talk to them between events. They're not over here doing their own thing or separate from the attendees. They are part of the attendees and integrated into the core of what we do and are leaning into the learning.
Yeah, I would say that's definitely true.
So I kind of made a list of people I noticed who are in the room at the thing, because I think sometimes we have a perception of what's an entrepreneur, what's a solopreneur, what's okay. All this. And so when I look around the room over the last 10 years, who has been in the room? I've seen the solopreneurs, I've seen the entrepreneurs, I've seen the business leaders, I've seen coaches, I've seen creatives or artists, I've seen PR people, I've seen contract workers, And then you have people like me who are employees, we're supervisors, we're department heads, we're leaders in our industry or in what we're doing. And so I love that the room is full of people, not just what you assume as an entrepreneur, but it's above and beyond that. And I even wrote down IT managers, project managers, attorneys, counselors, financial advisors, fitness instructors, travel agents. We've had chiropractors, educators, people in the software industry, doctors, podcasters, career coaches, pastors, corporate managers. What am I missing?
CEOs of paint companies,
Funeral home owner.
funeral home directors, candle
I think the
counters.
funeral home director was one of the first ones to text you when you were in the hospital that said, "This isn't how I needed to see you again."
I was like, yes, thank you for the message, but I don't want to talk. I hope we don't have to talk further.
So, if I was attending the thing, how do I come in and get the most out of it? Like, how do I walk away feeling like I got something out of this event? What would you say? Or do you want me to share first?
I think as long as you share too, even if we overlap,
Okay.
I think you got to come in open-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes you have to be careful not to come in too desperate.
Okay.
I think it's a lot of times we've definitely encountered some people that have showed up in crisis. And it's very difficult. It's very difficult in an event setting to necessarily, we've had some interesting things happen that we were never prepared for, and I'm sure we'll continue to have more interesting things. I think with anything, if there's anything that almost every high level leader talks about, it's you've got to come in ready to give as much as you come to get. Maxwell talks about it. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about it. Our buddy Tim Sanders talks about it. Almost every leader talks about the 50 principle, that you're always willing to show up and bring value. And if you show up kind of ready to serve and not sell, I know selling is serving.
Only sell.
Well,
That's not your main focus.
People are going to ask what you do.
Be curious.
Be curious. And I think curiosity is, spoiler alert, I think Diana is actually going to be teaching this in her talk in Nashville about curiosity and networking. We don't deploy curiosity as much as we should when we first get to know people. It's how you learn about people.
My networking event was all about that last week.
You don't. You have to kind of want to know what they do. And if you listen to these people, it's like, wait a second. You're here at this event for entrepreneurs and you run a funeral home, or you're a painter, we have interesting people show up and they continue to, metal fabricators. We could go on. There's lists. We've made lists, lawyers, doctor, and they all come. And the one thing that they come in is hoping to find, I think we all want our weird validated.
They're encouraged and they don't leave feeling totally awkward.
Well,
what they do, but encouraged that they're doing the right thing on the right path.
Leadership is lonely. When you're out there leading, leadership often says that it's not always, but sometimes you have to be in front. Sometimes you have to go first. In fact, I love Dan Cathy when he talks about the rules of the slinky, that leaders go first, that a lot of times that you have to be the one that's willing to go first. Now, that doesn't mean you leave your people behind you, but sometimes you have to be the one that takes the risk. And showing up at a conference is very much a go first activity, because a lot of times it can feel very lonely to show up in a room. And here's the deal, how to really answer this question. Okay. Is if you know people, don't spend the whole weekend with those people. We always have one or two tables of people that are like, they're new to the event, but they came with a couple other people, or they knew one or two people. And they're like, your people were so standoffish. I was like, no, you were in the furthest table from the stage in the back of the room, sitting with three people that you already knew, talking amongst yourselves. You never got up and mingled at breaks. You never went and talked to people. Because if you go and talk to people, they will interact with you. They will make you feel welcome. They will They will ask questions. They will, and I would say the other thing is like raise your hand for help. We do this thing where we let everybody write on a business on a
No
post
card.
note card what their biggest problem in business that they're currently facing. And we don't leave the weekend until we've tried to solve.
Well, you've got a collective room of great minds that might have a different perspective, especially if you're stuck in a rut. They might help you see it a little differently or just think differently about it. Or they may be further ahead of you and be able to help you through it.
Now, granted, I'm facilitating that.
Sure.
That's what one of the things. That's what I'm doing. But I'm also my ego doesn't need to be the one that gives all the answers because I don't have the answers to everything. I know a lot. I know a lot. I've learned a lot. I've seen a lot. I typically know. I typically know two things more than almost everybody in the room. Is I know how to help you think about it differently, and I know how to help you figure out what next looks like.
Or where resources are to help.
Yeah,
you.
And if next isn't me, I don't need. It doesn't have to be me.
You can help connect them.
I try to point the. We try to turn the room into a mastermind, even though a mastermind is not an event. I believe it's an ongoing, continuous relationship. But we do
starting point.
We do try to have moments in the room where your problems get solutions. And I've watched people go out of there and shift their business from it. But I've also watched people not do a darn thing about it and nothing changed, other than they were frustrated. But that's on you. That's on you. You've got to come with an open mind. We try to help you facilitate, like writing notes in such a way that you write points of action. If you're watching this via video, you might see Oswald's head sticking in here. He loves it.
You'll see his ears if anything.
He loves it when we both podcast together. If you're listening on via audio, you have no idea what we're talking about, other than you might hear his collar jingle. But getting the most out of anything is as much how you show up as it is about how the room shows up for you. Because a lot of that is a mindset that you're coming into the room with, hey, I'm here, I'm open to possibility, I'm open to meeting new people, learning new things. And if you come, don't leave the event without asking and without. If you leave an event and you're there for 3 days and you didn't get the help you need, don't send me an email saying I didn't get anything out of the event, because that was your fault. I'm going to make sure, if I know your problem and you need to speak to a speaker, I'm going to run across the room, grab that speaker, and make sure you guys are connected.
Gently say, hey, come over here, lead them away.
Well, I'm not going to grab you, but I may grab the speaker less than, because someone's probably going to be,
hey, I need you for a minute, come on.
I'm going to make sure you guys are connected so you can get the help you need and the knowledge you need. Because most of our problems are solved by either knowledge or relationship. In most of the time, that knowledge is on the other side of a relationship. And the one thing I do have is relationship. I have people I know people who know things. And I've been at this a while, and people always kind of joke about that. You're like Kevin Bacon, people. But I also show up generous. I show up and give to people. I'm not looking at when you come to my event as a transaction. I'm not looking. Sure, I'd love it if you would join my ongoing communities and, join my mastermind and those kind of things. But I'm there to help you that weekend and plug you into our community on an ongoing basis. And we're constantly looking for ways to not just be an event that happens a couple times a year. We're constantly looking for ways to help and serve you the best we can with the resources we have available.
So I'll say, because I've been in the room and I like to stop and pay attention and kind of notice things. The thing I've noticed is if you want to get the most out of the event, you need to have your attitude to be one of learning. Lean into learning. Don't feel like you know it all. Don't feel like you're above anybody in the room. I'm a true believer you can learn something from everybody if you're willing to have the right attitude.
Yep.
So I think that's the first thing. I think the second thing is actually showing up and being present, coming to the sessions, being a part of the sessions. Sit at a different table. I dare say sit at a different table every session and see who you
at least every day
meet. Yeah, see who you meet and engage with and learn from. I know I'm a kind of a back of the room talker. I'm like, oh, that's so good. Oh, and so engage with the people that are around you, I would say.
but also come. You brought something up. Is it's like don't show up 5 minutes after the first session starts. Yeah. Don't leave, duck out because you got somewhere else to be. Block the weekend off wherever you are. I know I actually go and stay at the Nashville event. We go and stay in the host hotel because I want to be fully present. I don't want to have to be running home.
Taking dogs out.
The dogs go to my mom's house for the weekend normally.
They go to Camp Grandma.
We make plans so that we can be fully there, and like if you show up and are willing to be fully there, you're going to get the most out of it. Now, if you want to slip in and slip out and hide,
you're not going to get the
you
most
might as well you might as well stay home. And I get it. Not everybody's an extrovert. We have lots of introverts, and to be honest with you, most of them are going to make the biggest effort to make sure you feel welcome because they know what it's like to not feel welcome. And we're constantly, after every event, I wasn't even in the room at the last event, but I was one of the things I was asking about because like how do we make, because we had
new people,
because we've been doing this for a while. If we're not careful, this quickly becomes an insider event. And there definitely are people who are insiders. There are several. There are people that have been to several have been to every one of these, and a couple have been, like Ian has been to more of these than I have. At this point,
wow.
I was there for the VIP and the VVIP days last year.
You were there most half of it.
Yeah. But I think that's the mindset you come into the event with is gonna dictate a lot for you.
And I also think half of it too is when you sit in a session, everybody isn't going to be for you, but hopefully you'll learn something from them. But at the end of each talk, writing at least one thing down that you're going to apply or go do, and then taking action on it. I think that's where people, any conference, they misstep. But to be successful is write down that one takeaway and how you're going to implement it. That's all that matters. Otherwise, you're going to be overwhelmed and completely shut down and take zero action. So that would be one of my big things is just make sure you've got that action step you're going to take and apply what information you've learned.
And I'm going to constantly be asking about it throughout the weekend from the stage. I'm going to ask, what is the action step? Spoiler alert, I'm going to ask you at the end of the event, what's the one thing you want to do that if you come back next year will be different? What do you want to achieve? Because and then we'll do some fun activity to make sure that you've got something together. You've got something happening. You've got you've got a way forward. I don't want you to leave without a way forward. I don't want you to leave without, if you have a big goal, I want to make sure you have what you need to make that happen.
Well, and I think the other thing is making sure the connections don't just stay in the room, but continuing those connections after you leave the event. And the thing you mentioned a minute ago I love is how many people are on each other's podcast from the event. I mean, we're seeing it all year long. I just saw it last week. Like you mentioned, people are writing forwards for books. People are helping people write books. People are coming together to write books.
People are going and speaking at other people's conferences and going to other people's events because of who they met in the room.
And people go visit each other outside of this, support each other in life, health crisis, life crisis. They just spend holidays together. We spend a lot of holidays with a lot of our community. They come to our house a lot and hang out. We've been on crazy trips with people just because we like people and to hang out with them. I think we went on vacation in January with some of our people just because we wanted to reconnect in a positive way and build that community together. So connection is not just in that room. That's the starting point. It needs to live beyond there. Same thing with community. The community that's built in that room, we want to continue and grow it, and we'd love for you to be a part of ours. And that's half of it, is connecting with each other at that event.
Yeah, and that happens. like you mentioned, we've done an event in Jamaica. We've done an event in the mountains in a cabin. We do other. We're looking to create spaces where you can connect with other people beyond just the weekend, and with a smaller group of people, because what what we've learned is, obviously not everybody is going to be, the masses of people aren't always the people that are going to lean in. There's going to be a handful of people that are ready to really not, that are ready to kick off their shoes and get to work, and they're going to do the work. They're going to go. I don't know why we use that as an analogy that you kick off your shoes, but they go the extra mile. They
I don't have shoes on.
Yeah, so you don't even wear shoes.
We kicked off our shoes.
But you know what I'm saying, though,
Yep.
they're leaning in and they're ready to, and those are the people. Obviously, it's not a matter of like preference. It's a
Sure.
matter of like, I want to help people that can be helped. I want to help people that can take action.
Well, you want to set them up for success.
Yeah.
And half of it comes from them. The thing I've noticed is people that maybe walk out of the room and they're like, "Was this for me? Is this the right event for me?" The thing I've noticed is they came in with a very big intention to sell to the room, and only to sell to the room. They didn't want to give back. They didn't want to serve other people. They weren't there to learn. They were sitting in a seat, but they weren't there to learn or to ask people about themselves, what they do. The curiosity wasn't there. It was all about me. It was me focused. It's what I'm in the room. I'm here to be seen. I'm here to be served rather than to serve or to help other people, to learn about other people. Or they know it all and there was nothing they could learn from anyone else in the room. I think those are the things I've noticed. The people that aren't happy at the end is they come in with that attitude of it's all about me and I know everything.
What's really interesting about that is I know people that have come in with massively successful businesses that are learning from people who may or may not be on the struggle bus. There's still something to be learned. Even if there's some people that you may learn what not to do. You may learn
Agreed.
that's also learning. And it's a difficult thing that I've had to accept. Is that sometimes people don't always, they don't fit because they're not willing to put themselves second, and I think there's a lot of talk around, we sometimes internalize some of that talk around, you know it's for me, I've got to take care of me, I'm here for me. And yes, I want you to walk away with, like, I want you to be helped, I want you to be served.
But through the process, sometimes it's the greatest teaching.
Right. And it's a subtle, one of the difference between this and, like, as I said, I was, sports psychology. This isn't, this is something that we win together. This isn't a,
When you take together out of it, that's
right. This isn't,
deficit is.
this isn't a sport where it's one of us competing against the rest of us. This is very much how can we together serve people? I see the work that I do as a leader a lot like the Justice League or the Avengers, about trying to, like, gather remarkable people and find out what's remarkable about them and amplify those gifts and skills. In my coaching and in my masterminds, I want to help people to grow, but I really do believe that we grow together. And not unfortunately, not everybody shows up to an event with that mentality. You're right.
Yeah.
I've watched people show up and sit down with people over breaks with a PowerPoint presentation on their laptop. And man, if that's what you're doing, well, maybe real candid, stay home. But if you're willing to invest and serve and help people, I've watched people throw money at people in the room, because typically someone else in the room is making way more money in the room than I am. And that's because they're going to have more time to serve during the event because I'm really focused on making sure the event goes well. But the people that do win aren't the people that came just to get. We've said that probably 6 or 7 different ways. Mm-hmm. But it really is one of the things I did want to make sure we talked about is you're not an entrepreneur.
Yep.
Although you have some entrepreneurial tendencies. you've kicked around some book ideas. You've kicked around some offerings that you might do at some point based on energy. What do you, as you come in, but you do lead an organization. You lead kind of a small team of leaders to lead other people. Then you lead a bigger team to lead more people, and then you have 500 or 600 people under you that you're working. But you do that through layers, right? You're leading kind of out through the circle of influence.
Well, and I'll kind of give my background because I've worked in nonprofit where I did that on a volunteer basis, where I had hundreds of volunteers that worked under me.
You did volunteer management for a nonprofit,
and then now I'm a departmental head for the school board, and I have hundreds of employees, and then a core leadership team, and kind of grow and develop that. And so I might not be who you would think would benefit from this event, but I made a list of things of what I've learned over the 10 years, just kind of some basic things that I've taken away and I've applied in the work that I do. And so I was going to share those because I really feel like it's equipped me to be a better leader in all seasons of life. I've learned a lot of job skills over the years and been exposed to new things I wouldn't have thought about. So I would say the first thing I learned is really learning about avatars and defining your core client, and then learning how to market to them and how to meet their needs and provide customer service. So that was a clear thing that I learned, was clarity in marketing, knowing who you're targeting, how to sell to them, and then when that person changes, because when you work in education and you work with different generations over the years and after COVID, it changed, it shifted. So you have to be willing to shift and know when your audience changes and how to meet those people's needs. And so that's been a big one, was learning about branding, messaging, how to have clear communication, core thing. And I think we've heard that time and time again from the stage.
Yeah, and it's something I make sure that is weaved in, because the things that we marketed and messaged in 2017 are not what we're doing now.
Even an event, marketing an event is different.
Very, very different. There are things that are all very similar and very much the same.
The little tweaks make all the difference.
Some things are much louder and some things are much quieter. And so we're constantly, we're not trying to, and that's one of the things, is I'm not trying to put people on the stage that did it 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to put people that are in the process of doing it now.
They're living in the weeds and have gone beyond the weeds.
They're practitioners of what they teach. And that's interesting that you've taken that away, because no one's necessarily taught it that way, but that's how you've taught it. Mm-hmm. You have been able to apply. And, one of the things I've hesitated is, people want us to get a lot more specific at the thing. And I think there are a lot of people that would miss out if we excluded. Because what I've learned about avatars, you mentioned avatars, is some people that have been coming this whole time, or have come for a long time, who they were when they first showed up and who they are now is a very different person.
Absolutely.
And granted, if they kept coming and
most of the time
they weren't shifting and changing, we would have a problem.
Yep.
But that's something to think about, that there's a lot of talk about avatars, but not just the and we're not talking about the blue people in the movie. We're talking about your ideal client, and who that person is changes over time, and what they get more sophisticated. I mean, now, you mentioned AI, that the thing is where that you, to me earlier today, that the thing is where you first heard about it in its infancy, and how everyone around you in your work was reluctant, and it was seen as an enemy. And now, in the beginning, it was like we would try to get one speaker that was using AI, and now almost every person on our stage is using it in some way, shape, or form in their business.
Well, and I'll tell you, I remember we did Mastermind in the Smoky Mountains and rented a cabin, and we were just sitting around. Somebody had sent somebody a LinkedIn message, and the person was like, "I'm going to use AI to respond to it. Let's get on ChatGPT." And it came up with some funny things, so we all just started laughing, and then we started talking about messaging and how when you use AI, it learns your voice, it learns your messaging, it can help shape your what you do. And so that kind of made me curious because previous to that, I remember being in a meeting where they talked about how AI was going to kill education and how bad it was and why it was wrong and all the woes behind it. So it's interesting to have this perspective of no, stay away. Whereas over here, curiosity was growing and teaching and leaning forward. And so from there, I took that, and that year I used it to help. Because when you do evaluation, sometimes you write the same thing over and over and over again. And I was like, I want to say this, but I want to add this to it or this to it. Help me shape the voice. And so that was my starting point. And then I used it with my core leadership and said, hey, if you're stuck, let me tell you what I'm doing. So I shared it with them. There's not a day that I don't touch AI in what I do. I use it as a voice. I write everything and use it as a voice to go, help me respond to this. I know my tone's wrong. Can you help me shape it into this
And
tone instead?
you're probably only using a small sliver of the
Oh,
AI
100%.
puzzle.
So much possibility that I
Right.
don't even tap into.
And almost anyone listening to this, I mean, we're recording this on a software that's AI driven now. And it continues every time I open it up. It's like, oh, that's new. We'll enhance your voice with AI, and we'll enhance the video, and we'll chop it up with.
Well, I facilitated a whole session last week on staffing, and it came up with all my. I gave the scenarios I wanted to use, and it took the information, created it, and then I facilitated from it. It was fantastic. But if it hadn't been from there, I wouldn't have exposed my team, myself, and even my staff under me with lesson plans. We put in what we're trying to accomplish. We get some ideas and then create our own from it. So it's fantastic. That's a huge thing.
But I think a lot of that came out of like the openness of the community, right?
And we had a few laughs along the way of appropriate and inappropriate things we could say. And
yeah, you can definitely. And I think a lot of people start kind of with it being cute. You know, like being funny in cartoons and
then
making
like,
pictures.
wait, you can do what with that?
Yeah, you can turn me into a Muppet. Awesome. But when it becomes like, oh, you can help me really drill down and learn some really powerful tools to actually help me help myself and to help other people.
I'll tell you, one of my favorite talks was Chuck Basamo. And so he's a pastor up in the Northeast. Am I correct in that?
Virginia, not so far north. We lived in Virginia.
Oh, okay.
But
up that way.
now that we're fully Southerners for the last 20 plus years.
I guess I thought he was like more New Jersey, but okay. So
you associate him with Justin Shank, who is Pennsylvania.
Okay.
So
and then Mike Brennan, that was New Jersey, who's now transplanted here. But his talk, and then we had somebody else talking about boundaries and guardrails. His talk was all on creating margin in your life. He called it, "Are you a marginaire?" And so it was just about setting boundaries for white space and how to create that. And that was impactful. I know for the whole community, we all still talk about it because it was just impactful of how do you set boundaries? How do you give yourself energy? How do you step back? Everything can't be a busy season. And how do you create balance in your life that works? And balance isn't always going to happen.
And in that same day, I did an exercise that I've kind of messed around a little bit of. I had never done it before. And I kind of had a little glimpse of what Chuck was going to talk about. But it's sort of one of those things that there's something very supernatural about planning an event. That, I mean, we pray through this thing. Obviously, our goals are to help and to serve people. So we want to win at this. But I did an exercise that year about like writing down everything that's on your plate. And it actually just set Chuck up. We try to do things like you read the stories, and we try to do, like the rubber chicken. There's probably a rubber. My desk is looking very desky. There's a rubber chicken somewhere in here.
They're all over my work office.
I think I've moved it back here. So let's not try to spot. There's also a dog that could have possibly got a hold of the rubber chicken.
Very, very fair.
But luckily, we have a case of them.
We do.
But we did this exercise where I had everybody write down on what all the things on their plate, and then I started to challenge you to like ask, what needs to come off of your plate for you to actually be the most effective at the things that matter most. And so we try to reinforce, the fun thing about Leslie and I is our background was working with youth and kids. She still works with kids, and so of all ages. But I spent 20 plus years traveling around the country speaking to teenagers, college students. So objects and teaching through learned activities and giving you kind of because I want you
It's
to,
application. It's
I want you to leave with something that kind of triggers. I mean, here's something that sits on our desk. We talked one year about the danger of burying your genius. I made sure everybody went home with you know, a shovel to dig their genius out, and it sits in one of the 15 pencil holders on my desk.
Yep. All right, let me tell you what else I've learned.
What else have you learned?
So, one of the other takeaways is the value of data and using data, but not necessarily in the way that you obtained it. So, you might obtain it through one way, but how you internalize it and then use it could look different.
Okay.
And that it could be everything from budgets to who you're serving, where people are, how people get to a community. But I really learned that data can drive lots of decisions and it can drive the future if you let it without getting into too many details. But that was a big thing, is how do you use that data to move yourself forward? So, and how do you capture it? Because capturing it can be bizarre, but you get what you need to do what you need to.
And how do you stay like agnostic to it? How do you not? Because data, like anything, can be manipulated.
Overwhelming.
It can be manipulated too.
Absolutely.
You can kind of, if you watch the news ever, you can use data to. You've got a lot of things. We got time. What else have you learned?
We've covered a lot of those things. The last one I was going to talk about is we have a couple career coaches or people in that space, and so I know I've leaned into their communities a lot because as somebody who does a lot of hiring, or I have hiring managers, it's really helped me learn the perspective of an applicant and what they're going through, what they're managing, what to look for, what questions to ask, even how they're using AI and how to work the system to learn. Are they working the system, and what do I need to know really about them, and if they can support what they're putting on a resume or a cover letter that AI is created for them. And so it's really helped me think through the process, and then I've given value back to them, I would hope, and I think. And from a hiring perspective, what I'm looking for. I mean, I've learned all about trends in resumes because as somebody who I've been in my job, July have been here 16 years. This will be my 16th year in my job. I haven't gone and done, interviewing necessarily or creating resumes, those types of things very often. And so I have room to learn and grow. And one of the things I learned through that is you should always be updating your resume every 6 months, even if you're in a job, because right now it's a crazy place to be. There's a lot of uncertainty. So you should always have your resume ready just in case. And so that's one thing I learned. But I've learned a lot about the hiring process today, sources to use, places to go, how to brand through our career coaches.
Yeah. And we've learned, I mean, I don't think you even mentioned that they were there. What kind of, in conclusion for you, what would you say to somebody? Because I know you're like active in like the learning and development community. What would you say to one of those people of why the thing is worth their time?
It's a great question. So I was asked this recently, and what I told them is it's a room where there's a community that wants to help you learn and grow and support you wherever you are. And so it helps you look at things from a different perspective. It helps you look outside. Like if you're immersed in one community, it's good to get perspective from different communities. And I think what's unique about the thing is we have people, like I mentioned, all those different places, and they bring a different collective voice that you can look at and go, oh, I hadn't thought of it that way. I hadn't thought of it that way. So I think you bring great perspective and just the support and community. That's the one thing we hear over and over is there's something special about the community and the people in this room and how they support and help each other. Over and over again, that's what we hear is this is a unique community that helps you and supports you. And then there's value from the speakers. Every speaker brings something you can take away and apply if you choose to do that.
And that's really the key is if you choose. Are you coming with a mind set of like, I'm going to come and learn?
Well, and I walk away. It doesn't matter what year it is. Even this year when we weren't even in the room, we walked away with, and let's be clear, because of a health crisis, not because we just said, hey, do our event. It was a health crisis that happened, unpredicted. I learn about new podcasts. I listen to new episodes. I get lots of book ideas, whether it's their book or one they share from stage that somebody else they learn from. So I get a list of books, podcasts to listen to. We've also attended webinars or other events just to support people, and then the friends that we have. I mean, we have friends for life in that room. We invite people to where we live if they need a break or they need somewhere to go for a holiday. We've gone on vacation with people. We just have lifelong friends because of this community that we will probably never not have in our lives. Is that fair?
Yeah, and I don't know that we had any expectation that that was going to be
Not at all
part of doing this.
No.
And there's the downside where some people aren't lifers. Some people don't hang around.
And that's okay.
That's okay.
If it's not for them, that's okay.
And I
don't linger if it's not for you.
But also be willing to immerse yourself. What I said about, the people that are going to get the most out of this are the people that go the distance. Mm-hmm. Hercules was right. Phil Collins was right. You want to go the distance. I believe it was the great Michael Bolton that told us that.
We're going old school.
Was it Michael Bolton? I have Michael Bolton singing, but I think Phil Collins wrote that song. Yeah. But the idea of going the distance, of being willing to go and lean in. You guys know, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And sure,
it's kind of your mantra.
It is my mantra. It's become a core value, and it doesn't work for people who aren't willing, who don't necessarily desire to survive. I mean, I literally have been the benefit of, like, part of why I'm still here is the community. And obviously Leslie, literally saved my life, and noticing that something was off and calling me out and being like, hey, we got to get you help, and walking through this healing journey with me and making sure that I, take do the things.
Take the medicine, supplements, do the test.
Yeah, and
get sleep.
Yeah, and but that requires a commitment to the long term. And I think it's super important as if you're listening today and you're like, oh man, I'm not sure. This sounds like a lot of commitment just to show up for an event.
How do they get to the event? When is it? How do we sign up?
So right now, if you're listening, Nashville's coming up. It's the next event, June 7, 8, 9. Nashville.com. You can use the code podcast to save some money.
And that's in Franklin, Tennessee.
Franklin, Tennessee, at the Drury, which is literally right in the heartbeat of...
It's right off the interstate.
Right off the interstate. It's right in the heartbeat of the Cool Springs, Franklin, Brentwood area. It's kind of the part of Nashville where everybody that makes music lives.
Right.
It's
probably within 15 miles of it.
Within 15 miles of it, half the people that have a song or someone else is singing their song is on the charts lives.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons that attracted us to Leslie and I to this town, is the spirit of, and it's why a lot of our thing community has ended up moving here with us. Obviously, us, because we're awesome.
That's right.
But they've come here because there is a creative environment. There are people that are, and we're continuing to lean in.
Well, it's not just music anymore. We've got actors moving to the area. Yep. You name it, sports people. It's just an environment people want to be a part of because there's so much creativity and so much the entrepreneurship and growing yourself. It's all part of the Nashville community.
I would say innovation and creativity and curiosity are
innovation. That's the word I was thinking.
Are interwoven into our city.
Yep.
Great. And our ethos of how we do. And so when you're around it, plan on a couple extra days to go see our city. You don't have to go to Broadway and go to the honky tonks, but go. You can, if you want, go see our city and experience our food.
I urge you to see live music.
You didn't mention the chef. We've had a couple chefs that have been part of our event. And,
yeah, I didn't. No offense, but yes.
Yeah, Chef
Amazing
Alex.
People, absolutely.
And that's, and what's interesting is at some point you have to make a decision. The hardest thing for me to accept as someone who creates this event has been, a lot of times you're not making a decision to come to the event based on how awesome it is or how much of a no-brainer it is to come. You're making a decision to come to an event whether you believe or not. Whether you believe, and I heard an entrepreneur say this I was listening to, that it wasn't just belief, that it was the knowing. That remarkable leaders know, and they're willing to take an action that they know enough about what they're called to do, that they feel like they have a purpose, they have something they want to do. And so, I know you're going to ask me the next thing about they go to thingnashville.com. There's a couple of different tickets. There's a basic ticket.
You know where I'm going.
You come in, you shift in them, but there's also some VIP experiences, and we are going to create some fun experiences. We'll go out, we'll hit the town together, we'll dine together.
We have a few surprises we throw in.
We always try to do something fun, and there's always, because we're an innovative city, there's always new things coming to town, and we always try to go experience some of those things and
really broaden your imagination to kind of try new things, which then gets new ideas, which helps you move forward in your business or in your leadership, whatever role you have.
But we're also going to, if you do the VVIP, we're going to lean in and we're going to spend a significant amount of time working on whatever it is you're working on. And what's interesting about that is we've had people come in and work on business plans. We've had people come in and kind of
do career changes.
We've had people come in and turn their business upside down, totally shift their market and their offerings and who they're trying to serve. We've had people come in and write book outlines
or create their legacy because they're getting towards the end of their career. And what do they want to leave behind?
They ask those hard questions, and the age difference that comes to the thing is always
it's amazing.
We've had 13-year-olds come and register for the thing, and we've had 78-year-olds come and register for the thing.
And they all walk away with value. Yeah,
one of our attendees in Nashville last year brought their father.
Oh, I loved that. And he was so excited
to
learn.
He leaned in the whole time, semi-retired, but he still wants to learn, and he still wants to grow, and he still wants to help and serve people. And so I would just say, hey, if you do have questions, I'm pretty available. I'm not hiding behind a veil somewhere. I'm available. Reach out online, send a carrier pigeon.
So you've got a VVIP experience, a VIP experience, and then a regular registration experience.
Yep.
Throughout. In June, it's here in Nashville,
yep.
in Franklin, Tennessee, and then we do an event in November in Orlando.
Yep.
Very similar, but a little bit different because we've got the Mickey World and Universal World right there with us, and so it looks a little bit different there, but both are great events. We'd love to have you at one or both of them.
Yeah. But don't wait till November to come. You need to come in June.
Yeah, come join us. We're gonna have a lot of fun.
You need a plan. Don't say. You know what's interesting is a lot of people always say, "Well, next time."
Never know if there is a next time.
Yeah, and one of the things I've learned over this last year is next is not guaranteed, and we have limited time here. And for me, you asked me one of those questions about what do you hope has happened. I believe that one of the things we've helped people do more than anything is understand that their time on earth is limited, and the sooner they can get focused on the mission that they've been given, I believe it's a God-given mission, their purpose, their calling, their thing that only they can do in the way that only they can do it, their zone of genius.
You're going to bring them fulfillment.
And you're going to bring them fulfillment and bring them impact and bring them income. The sooner that we can get people focused on that, and the more focused that they can be on that rather than doing something that is taking away from their joy and their peace and their happiness. We want to be about serving people that way and helping people actually see their thing become a reality and the world know about it. And so we would love to have you join us here in Nashville, June 7th, 8th, and 9th is the dates of the main event. We intentionally are doing it on a different kind of day flow. We normally do where the main event is Friday, Saturday, Sunday in Orlando, but in Nashville we're doing Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, so the pre-event stuff kind of happens. We're trying to shift it just if you have something that has to happen every Wednesday that you can't be, we're trying to basically take every excuse off the table that you could get to one of these events.
And it's over the work week for a few people that need it counted as work. Yeah. We've had a few people do it as part of work.
Yeah,
Their work pays for it.
We have an attendee that's in the.
We've got a couple of them.
I know a guy that's a
IT and one's project manager.
And one's
their company pays for them to be
and
there.
one's in the insurance business, and their company pays for all of their expenses to be there because
and they're there every year.
And they learn and they grow, and they don't miss it.
No.
And so I would encourage you guys to join us. I hope this has been fun. I hope this has been helpful. Leslie, thank you for this was your idea. So if you thought this was great,
give me the shout out.
Yeah, I'll be sure. And I had nothing to do with this suggestion. So you said do it, and we did it.
Well, I've also learned that not to give you too much time, because then it won't happen if we just spontaneous.
Let's be spontaneous.
You think it's spontaneous, it's more likely to happen.
Well, it's not even a matter of being spontaneous. It's a matter of, let's just do it now.
No.
Like, we're dressed. We have cameras. We're ready to go. And so, thank you guys for listening. And we will see you next time on the Making Elephants Fly podcast.